Let's start with the fantasy. Every few months, someone declares the US dollar is about to die. Twitter threads, YouTube thumbnails, gold bugs rubbing their hands. BRICS is coming. America is finished. This time, it's real. It never is. Not because the US is perfect, not because the dollar is moral, but because money does not work the way doomers think it does. The dollar is not popular. It is entrenched. Think of the dollar like a telecom network, not your phone. The entire network, towers, cables, satellites, contracts, roaming agreements. You might hate your carrier. You might complain every month. But leaving is not just switching SIM cards. Your number is tied to it. Your contacts are tied to it. Your apps are tied to it. Your job is tied to it. Now imagine there are only 3 global telecom providers, and one of them handles 90% of international calls. That provider is overpriced, annoying, and politically obnoxious. But every business runs on it. That is the dollar. People confuse dislike with optionality. The world does not use the dollar because it loves America. It uses the dollar because everyone else already does. This is the network effect. And it is brutal. Oil is priced in dollars. Shipping contracts are in dollars. Insurance is in dollars. Aircraft leases, commodity futures, debt markets, trade, finance. If you want to trade with 10 countries, you don't want 10 currencies. You want one neutral language. The dollar became that language decades ago, and once a language dominates, switching costs explode. China knows this. Russia knows this. The global south knows this. They complain loudly, then quietly invoice in dollars anyway. Because opting out means isolation. Let's say you're a country that wants to ditch the dollar. What does that actually mean? It means telling exporters they can no longer receive payment in the currency their suppliers demand. It means telling banks to unwind trillions in dollar-denominated contracts. It means telling investors their assets are now exposed to exchange chaos. It means telling your own citizens their savings just got riskier overnight. This is not rebellion. This is self-harm. People point to bilateral trade agreements. China and Russia trading in yuan and rubles. Headlines scream de-dollarization. Zoom out. It's rounding error stuff. Global trade is not about symbolic deals. It's about scale and trust. The dollar market is deep, liquid, and boring. Boring is good. Boring means predictable. Predictable means safe. No other currency offers this. The euro comes closest, and even it fails. Why? Because Europe does not have one treasury, one bond market, one political authority. The euro is a currency without a state. That caps its power. China's yuan, tightly controlled, capital controls everywhere. You cannot freely move money in and out. That alone disqualifies it from reserve status. A reserve currency must let people leave. The dollar lets you leave. Ironically, this is why it dominates. The US allows capital flight. The US allows foreigners to sell assets. The US allows people to dump dollars. Most countries don't. That makes them scary. The dollar is not strong because America is loved. It is strong because America tolerates disloyalty. Now let's talk about reserves. Countries hold dollars not to worship the US, but to insure themselves. When crisis hits, trade freezes. Capital runs. You need something, everyone accepts immediately. That something is dollars. During every crisis, dollar demand spikes, not falls. 2008, those Mil-Bengten regional wars, financial shocks. The same pattern repeats. People run toward the thing they claim is dying. That alone should tell you something. The dollar system is self-reinforcing. The more it is used, the safer it becomes. The safer it becomes, the more it is used. This feedback loop is hard to break without replacing the entire global financial architecture. Not reforming it, replacing it. That means new clearing systems, new settlement rules, new legal frameworks, new trust relationships, new enforcement mechanisms. Who enforces contracts in a BRICS system? Who arbitrates disputes? Who provides liquidity in a panic? These questions never get answered. Because the answers are uncomfortable, trust is not declared. It is earned over decades through boring consistency, through crisis performance, through letting people leave without punishment. The US has done this longer than anyone else. Now let's address the emotional argument, the one people don't say out loud. Resentment. Many countries resent the dollar because it exposes them. It exposes weak institutions. It exposes corruption. It exposes bad policy. Dollar markets punish stupidity fast, inflate too much. Capital leaves, lie too often. Borrowing costs rise. Pick fights. Sanctions appear. The dollar system is not fair. But it is honest. It reflects power as it exists, not as people wish it did. This is why killing the dollar rhetoric spikes during geopolitical stress. It's not about economics. It's about humiliation, about being constrained by a system you do not control. But constraints are not chains if you benefit from them. China runs massive trade surpluses in dollars. It parks those dollars in US assets. Those assets are liquid, safe, and globally accepted. If the dollar collapses, China's balance sheet explodes. Same for Japan. Same for Gulf states. Same for pension funds worldwide. This is the part doomers skip. The dollar is not owned by America alone. It is owned by everyone who uses it. Destroying it would vaporize trillions in savings. Which brings us to the core misunderstanding. The dollar is not a weapon you can aim at the US. It is a shared operating system. Crashing it crashes everyone logged in. This is why even America's rivals behave cautiously. Loud speeches, quiet portfolios. They talk multipolar. They invest unipolar. The network effect is unforgiving. Once a standard dominates, alternatives struggle not because they are bad, but because they are lonely. And money hates loneliness. So when someone confidently says the dollar is finished, what they are really saying is, I don't understand how networks work. Currencies don't die from dislike. They die when users leave, and leaving the dollar is not a protest. It is an exit from the system that feeds you. In the next chapter, we tackle the shiny distraction everyone points to next. Gold. The idea that backing a currency with metals somehow breaks the dollar spell. The BRICS fantasy of hard money salvation. Spoiler, it doesn't. It just replaces trust with logistics, and that never ends well. When the dollar panic starts to wobble, people reach for gold. Always gold. It's the financial security blanket. Heavy, shiny, ancient, feels real, feels honest, feels like it can't betray you. Every dollar collapse argument eventually ends the same way. Fine. We'll just use gold. This is where the serious conversation quietly dies. Gold is not a currency system. It is a settlement object. Those are not the same thing. Gold works when trade is small, slow, and simple. A few actors, limited flows, long timelines. It breaks the moment you introduce modern scale, and modern scale is the entire point. Let's talk about the BRICS fantasy. The story goes like this. BRICS creates a gold-backed currency. Countries trade outside the dollar. The US loses power. The dollar collapses. History is healed. It sounds clean. It sounds strong. It sounds like revenge. It's also nonsense. Gold does not eliminate trust. It moves trust. Instead of trusting a legal system, you now trust vaults, transport, verification, custody, and settlement speed. Every one of those introduces friction. Everyone introduces power. Everyone creates disputes. Who verifies the gold? Wo stores it? Who ensures it? Who moves it? Who settles imbalances? Congratulations. You just rebuilt a banking system with worse tools. Gold-backed trade is not money. It is barter with extra steps. People forget how global trade actually works. It is not container ships exchanging metal. It is credit, timing, netting, futures, hedging, insurance, all of it layered on top of trust and liquidity. Gold is terrible at this. It is slow. It is bulky. It is expensive to move. It is hard to audit in real time. This is why no large economy runs on gold anymore. Not because governments hate discipline, but because gold collapses under volume. Now let's say BRICS ignores all this and pushes forward anyway. What happens? Trade imbalances explode. In a dollar system, deficits and surpluses are absorbed by financial markets. Dollars flow into assets, bonds, stocks, real estate. Capital markets recycle excess. In a gold system, surpluses pile up physically. If China runs a surplus, it demands gold. The counterparty loses gold. That gold is gone, not digits. Metal. This creates instant stress. Deficit countries must either deflate brutally or default. There is no flexibility, no shock absorber, no lender of last resort. This is how gold standards historically end, not instability in depression. The Great Depression was not caused by greed. It was amplified by gold rigidity. Countries clung to gold, strangled liquidity, and destroyed their own economies until they finally gave up. People remember gold as discipline. They forget it as a straitjacket. Now look at BRICS specifically. BRICS is not a country. It is a group of rivals with conflicting interests. China and India do not trust each other. Brazil and Russia have different inflation histories. South Africa has its own capital constraints. Who controls monetary policy in this system? Who decides liquidity during crisis? Who bails out who? There is no answer. So instead of a currency, you get bilateral deals, side agreements. Dollar provides that elasticity through credit creation, through central banking, through capital markets. You can argue it is abused. Fair. But removing elasticity entirely is not reform. It is regression. This is why even the loudest gold talkers never fully commit. Russia talks gold, then sells oil for dollars. China talks gold, then pegs behavior to dollar stability. Central banks buy gold, but still settle in dollars. Gold is a hedge, not a replacement. And that distinction matters. The idea that gold kills the dollar misunderstands the role of reserves. Reserves are insurance, not engines. They sit still. Trade moves. A reserve asset that cannot move fast is useless in a panic. Duding Chris's countries don't ask for gold, they ask for dollars. Immediately, because bills are due now, not after verification and transport. This is why gold hoards sit quietly while dollar swap lines light up during emergencies. Now let's talk psychology. Gold appeals to people who want permanence in a chaotic system. Something solid, something timeless. But global finance is not timeless. It is adaptive, messy, political, built on confidence. Confidence does not come from metal. It comes from enforcement. If a contract breaks, who enforces it? If a dispute arises, who rules? If fraud happens, who? Gold does not answer these questions. States do. And the state behind the dollar is still the most powerful, transparent, and predictable enforcer in the system. That matters more than purity. Here's the part that really stings. If gold actually threatened the dollar, the US would already be panicking. It isn't. Because US power is not based on paper. It is based on law, markets, military reach, and institutional depth. The dollar is a reflection of that power, not the source of it. Remove the dollar, and something else fills the gap. But that something must still meet the same criteria. Deep markets, free exit, rule enforcement, crisis liquidity. Gold meets none of them. So gold talk becomes what it always is: a signal, a protest, a hedge against inflation and sanctions. not a revolution. The BRICS gold narrative survives because it feels intuitive. Hard money beats fake money. Old beats new. Substance beats trust. But finance does not run on vibes. It runs on boring systems that work under stress, and gold fails stress tests. Which brings us to the final illusion. The most dangerous one, the idea that the dollar can be killed without killing the people trying to kill it. That there is a clean break, a painless exit, a moment where the US loses and everyone else wins. There isn't. In the next chapter, we get to the real reason the dollar doom never happens. Because crashing the dollar is not an attack. It's a suicide pact. Here is the part everyone avoids saying out loud. You cannot destroy the dollar from the outside, because the people most exposed to the dollar system are not Americans. They are everyone else. The US issues the world's reserve currency. That sounds like privilege. And it is, but it also comes with something strange. America exports its liabilities. The rest of the world hold them. Foreign governments, banks, pension funds, and corporations are sitting on trillions of dollars in US assets, treasuries, bonds, stocks, cash reserves, trade credits. These are not symbolic holdings. They are core balance sheet items. So when someone says the dollar is going to collapse, ask a simple question. Collapsed against what? If the dollar crashes, those assets lose value. Instantly, violently, globally. China alone holds massive dollar exposure, both officially and unofficially. Export earnings, bank reservice, corporate cash, shadow finance, all tied to dollar stability. If the dollar falls hard, China's wealth falls with it. Same for Japan. Same for Europe. Same for oil exporters. Same for global pension funds. This is why dollar collapse talk is always loud in speeches and quiet in portfolios, because there is no such thing as a clean exit. Imagine a room full of people sitting on a wooden floor. Someone yells, "Burn the floor to hurt the landlord." Everyone else looks down. They are sitting on it too. That is the dollar system. The dollar is not a foreign parasite attached to the global economy. It is woven into it. Contracts, debt, savings, pricing, collateral. Pulling it out, tears, everything. Now, let's talk about selling. People say countries will just dump dollars. Dump them where? If China sells treasuries, we'll bull stem. Other countries, funds, banks. The Federal Reserve if needed. The price adjusts. Yields move. But the market clears. Selling dollars does not destroy dollars. It redistributes them. And here is the uncomfortable truth. When large holders sell, the US benefits. Higher yields attract buyers. A weaker dollar boosts US exports. Capital flows back in. The system absorbs the shock. This has happened repeatedly. The dollar has been dying since the 1960s. It survived Nixon ending gold convertibility. It survived inflation. It survived debt explosions. It survived wars. It survived financial crises. Why? Because killing it requires replacing it, and replacement requires coordination among rivals who do not trust each other. Good luck with that. Now consider sanctions. The favorite argument, the US weaponizes the dollar, so people will abandon it. True. The US uses its position aggressively. Freezing reserves. Cutting access, enforcing rules extraterritorially. This scares countries, but here's the twist. It also reminds them how powerful the system is. Sanctions do not make the dollar weaker. They prove it is central. So countries hedge. They diversify reserves. They build alternative payment rails. They talk loudly about sovereignty, and then they still settle in dollars, because even sanctioned countries need someone to trade with. And that someone eventually touches the dollar system. Even Russia still uses dollar pricing as a reference. Even China manages its currency against the dollar. The system bends. It does not break. Now let's imagine the extreme scenario, a coordinated effort to crash the dollar. Massive selling, alternative settlement systems, gold backing. Political unity. What happens? Global financial panic. Asset prices collapse. Trade freezes. Liquidity vanishes. Credit dries up. Recessions cascade. Who gets hit first? Export-driven economies. Debt-heavy economies. Emerging markets, not the U.S. The U.S. has the largest internal market: food, energy, capital, military security. It can retreat inward if needed. Most others cannot. This is the final irony. The dollar system is unfair, but it is also stabilizing. It spreads risk outward. It centralizes crisis management. It creates a lender of last resort. Remove it, and the world does not become multipolar and fair. It becomes fragmented and fragile. So the real choice is not dollar dominance versus freedom. It is dollar dominance versus chaos. This is why even America's enemies never fully commit to killing it, because doing so is not an attack. It is a suicide pact. Everyone bleeds. Some bleed out faster, and the ones yelling loudest usually have the most to lose. Which brings us to the final chapter, the part that makes doomers uncomfortable. The dollar is not immortal, but it will not die the way people think. It won't be killed. It will be outgrown. Slowly, boringly, through evolution, not collapse. The dollar will not die in a bang. It will fade, if it ever does, the way empires fade. Gradually, unevenly, while everyone argues about something else. This is where cynical realism matters. Reserve currencies do not collapse like stock prices. They lose share slowly. Over decades, through alternatives that grow quietly, not rebellions that shout loudly. The British pound did not vanish in 1945. It lingered for generations. Even today, it still exists, still trades, still holds value. What changed was relevance. The same thing will happen to the dollar eventually. Not because BRICS tweets about it, not because gold makes a comeback, not because someone kills it, but because the world changes underneath it. If another system offers deeper markets, stronger enforcement, freer capital movement, and better crisis management, people will migrate naturally. No speeches required. Right now, no such system exists. China is not ready. Europe is not unified. BRICS is not a system. So the dollar remains the least bad option. That is the secret. The dollar does not win because it is perfect. It wins because it is tolerable. It absorbs abuse. It ados exceedit enforces contracts. It provides liquidity in panic. That makes it sticky. The real risk to the dollar is not foreign rebellion. It is domestic decay. If the U.S. undermines rule of law, if capital controls appear, if markets lose depth, if institutions lose credibility, then the network effect weakens. But even that is a long process. Doomers want drama. Finance delivers inertia. So when you hear confident claims that the dollar is finished, understand what you are really hearing. Frustration, resentment, wishful thinking. The dollar is not a villain you defeat. It is a system you outgrow. And until something better actually exists, the operating system stays installed. You don't have to like it. You just can't uninstall it without deleting everything else with it. Oh, my sweet summer child.